Welcome back. It's Monday. I'm Scotty. That's Motty. Obviously, only one place to talk about tonight. Marcus Rashford, after him going on the piss to an unknown location across the Irish Sea that no one ever goes to or supports Manchester United. Belfast. Who would have thought that, you get caught going on the pop in the place where is probably the massive population of Manchester United fans?
Hey, I know, very undercover there, innit? Get involved in the comments in the chat and let us know what you think. We're going to talk about Marcus Rashford. And I don't know, even sort of 6 months ago, whatever, this sort of topic or this debate or the discussion about his future at Manchester United would have seemed unheard of. He was, absolutely flying. He was banging in the goals, top scorer, and all the rest of it. We'd won the Carabao Cup. We'd got into the Champions League. It was all positive vibes. But you look at this season, you look at his performances, and you look at what's going on. I've noticed that a lot of people on social media and a lot of people in my group chats and even people in the comments are kind of losing patience with him, faith in him, and saying that there might be an argument to be made that it is time to try and move him on if you can get big money for him. And I find that just almost bizarre how quickly it shifted. Do you know what I mean? Because it isn't just this incident in Belfast, I think, that's making people say that. No, and I'll get you my opinion in a minute. But it seems like it's the lack of form, or the drop in form, I should say, the lack of goals, just other stuff that's gone on, like the stuff after the derby, the stuff with the Jadon Sancho situation. I feel like people are looking at Marcus now and going, you're becoming a problem and you're not performing the way you should, and if we can get good money, it might be better for all concerned if you move him on. What do you make of that? What do you make of the fact that this is even a discussion amongst certain people, not just amongst us, because we could have made a discussion about anything and gone, but this is a discussion now. But this is genuinely what I'm seeing a lot of online and in group chats and stuff, of people going, do you know what, maybe it's time to move him on. What do you make of that?
I'm not surprised in the slightest, really. You say that 6 months ago, obviously off the back of his most successful season at Manchester United, it'd be ludicrous come 6 months' time that we'd be discussing this about selling him. But if you go back 18 months ago, off the back of his worst season at Manchester United, people would have gone people wanted to see the back of him then.
Yeah.
He's for a striker, he's very hit and miss. And the thing is with Manchester United supporters, at least the ones that I know, will give you all the time of day if you are trying your hardest on the pitch and not and perform and off it and trying to keep your powder dry whilst getting back in form and stuff. He's not doing that. So he's not behaving off the pitch, and he's certainly not putting any effort in on the pitch as far as I can see. It's absolute lacklustre. I don't know if Marcus Rashford either wants to play for Ten Hag anymore. That's what I think his situation is now. Okay. And you made a reference there to the Jadon Sancho situation. This all sort of stems from then, that that Sancho and Rashford were very tight. Rashford's, have you seen like how unfrequently he's been posting on social media this season compared to previous?
Marcus,
yeah,
really?
Marcus. So I think August he scored in the Arsenal game, didn't he?
Yeah,
Rashford. Yeah. He didn't tweet again until November.
Really?
After that.
So that's for him, someone who's very, very active on
social media,
and he has replied to a few tweets and he's called people out. He's argued a little bit as well. So I don't know, it feels like with Marcus there's a lot going on. Let us know what you think. Hit that like button as well, please, people. Let's by the end of this video, let's get to 100 likes. You might not like what's going on, but let's get to 100 likes. People already in the chat. The Mandalorian says sell. He clearly has no respect for the badge, nor the club, nor its managers. It's about him. Self-centre and not helping the club go forward. His time is up, to be honest, and time to move on. Corey Mank-Bates says sell. Get this virus out of the football club. Mick Holohan says, I think we are at the point of no return with Marcus Rashford. Greg Frost says definitely sell. Sean Sine says it's a dynamic duo. Amaya Gakale says hello boys. Always says he missed me super chat on Paddock today. I didn't. I've not done any super chats, bro. I was on the live before, but I think Joe was running the stream on that one. James says sell him and his virus may get what we can and buy better. Danny Wallace is very, very accurate and insightful comments. Says I fucking love Jay Motty. Mick Holohan also says, if PSG come calling, take the bid. Heaven Soul, though, says, I do find Jay's rationale a bit hollow, though. If he wasn't English and a local lad, you'd have turned on him as fast as you have Anthony. I'll address that. For starters, when Marcus Rashford came into the side, he was banging in goals, he was scoring winners. He scored the winner in the Manchester derby, he scored a winner against Arsenal, scored 2 on his debut. For an 18-year-old to come into the side and do that. And he was scoring consistently. He didn't score lots of goals, but he scored pretty consistently. He got assists pretty consistently. Up until the Ralph Rangnick season where he really fell off a cliff, where I think he had 5 goals, whatever it was, all season.
Yeah.
But the season before that, he'd had 20-odd goals, and the season before that. So he had credit in the bank. He'd done things. He'd scored winners in big games against PSG, the winner against PSG, against Manchester City, against Arsenal. He scored against Liverpool. There was sort of things where you go, look, I can see a player there who's done good things. I haven't really seen that with Anthony. I seen him when he first came in. I think he got 3 goals in his first 3 games.
Yeah.
Then he went, I think, was it 6 months in the Premier League without a goal? Like, that's the difference. No, I don't care about your passport, whether you're Brazilian or English. My favourite players are Roy Keane and Eric Cantona. They're about as English as I am Irish or French. But if you're not performing, or I've not really seen you perform since you arrived, and you cost a lot of money, which Andy did, that's why my patience runs thin.
The argument's different between the sort of Anthony case and Marcus Rashford is that Anthony came in and had to prove his worth. And the question is around Anthony's ability. Obviously, he's got a lot of stuff going on outside the pitch that we'll not get into. But based on what we've seen as a Manchester United player, there's left a lot to be desired. So we're like, well, is he worth having that spot? Marcus Rashford's a different kettle of fish because, as you said there has been a lot of evidence that the lad has got an ability. Nobody's doubting at all. There isn't a single person who's of sound mind and can see knows that Marcus Rashford has the ability to be a supremely gifted footballer, which makes it even worse that he's not. Because even top strikers, even Ronaldo in as bad a Manchester United team as we had, was scoring goals. Do you know what I mean? What was his name? He used to play for Sunderland years ago. Marcus Stewart, was it? Or Ipswich. You see these strikers, and even if you're playing in a bad team, you manage to score goals. Marcus Rashford last season was playing in what, in my mind, wasn't a great Manchester United team. Had his most successful season ever. So his ability's there. It's the drive. And then you see these antics off the field. You're like, well, do you want to play for this manager? Do you want to play for this football club anymore? And for me, the situation's got to it now where you've got Ineos coming in. We are going to have to sell players in the summer to generate cash to build for the future. That everybody knows that. Yeah. Now, if you've got your most valuable player acting like he might not want to be at Manchester United, and he's like the one we could maybe get 80 mil for, you'd say roughly.
Yeah, I think if PSG came in for him, I think you could still get quite a lot of money for him. I think they'd pay pretty big wedge for him. Also, if they get rid of Mbappe and they're looking to bring in a big name.
Yeah. And Rashford would thrive over there. There's absolutely no doubt that Rashford would thrive at PSG. It's whether he wants to stay at Manchester United or if Ineos see Marcus Rashford as something that they can build the club around. Because I thought Ten Hag in his press conference was quite telling when he didn't say he's ill, that's enough of it. Because he could have just silenced it all and dealt with it behind closed doors, but didn't choose to do that. He said, I'll deal with it. Do you know what I mean? It's an internal
so there's obviously something to deal with.
It's an internal matter to deal with. Now, he's made a rod for his own back because he's very principled in the way that he's dealt with people like Ronaldo, like Jadon Sancho, with how he deals with this. He can't be seen to sort of sway because what is like Manchester's golden child who plays Manchester United. And it is a romantic story that comes with Marcus Rashford and everything that happened with the sort of the altruistic stuff with the kids during the pandemic. It's a great story. But you look at the evidence on the football pitch, it isn't there. The drive isn't there to want to play for Manchester United at this moment in time. I think he doesn't want to play for the manager. That's the way I see it. I think it'll come at the end of the season, and I think it'll either be Marcus Rashford is at Old Trafford or Erik ten Hag.
Okay, fair enough. Get involved in the comments in the chat. Let's just look at some of Marcus Rashford's record here as well. So get into it and see what we were talking about in terms of the player. Overall record, he's played 259 games for Manchester United, scored 80 goals and got 47 assists. So you're looking roughly there. It's almost bang on a goal involvement every other game, which is, it's a decent return. But then it's a case of as well looking at how those goals and assists or how the goals in particular have been sort of spaced out. So, like I said, he came onto the scene, he scored quite a few goals, I think 8 in his first 18 appearances in that first season when he was still a teenager. Then we've had, he's been a bit up and down. He's had, in his second season, it was 53 games, 11 goals. His third season, 52 games, 13 goals. His fourth season, 47 games, 13 goals. His fifth season was one under Ollie where he really started to bang in the goals. Where it was 44 games, 22 goals. Then the season after that, 57 games, 21 goals. Then the Ralph Rangnick season, which was a bit of a disaster, 32 games, 5 goals. Last season, which was his, his Annus Mirabilis, where it was 56 games and 30 goals. This season, 26 games and 4 goals. So, in terms of when this is happening for him, or when this sort of, drama's kicking off, it's not a great time for him anyway, because he's having one of his worst ever seasons. I mean, he's on course to have his second worst ever season if this carries on. His goal scoring rate anyway. And also United in general aren't looking great. I think we've got an outside chance to win the FA Cup and an outside chance to get in top 4. It isn't looking like being a vintage season for Manchester United or Marcus Rashford. And you've got all this drama going on. And now he's not 18, 19 or whatever anymore. He's a 26-year-old lad who's one of the senior players at the club. And he's acting in a way where his manager's having to go onto a press conference and saying, it's an internal matter. It's an internal matter. So it's like the perfect storm or the perfect storm.
It all goes hand in hand, though, doesn't it, Jay?
Yeah.
I mean, like you were saying there, it's not perfect timing. His off the field behaviour reflects how he feels on the football pitch. I've seen something with Nicky Butt saying that Marcus isn't happy. I think Nicky Butt referred to the Manchester United dressing room as a shithole. Make of that what you will.
Yeah.
And whether it's sort of broken in there in terms of, because the stuff that's been happening on the pitch would certainly suggest there's some sort of fracture within Manchester United, what's happening on the pitch, whether that stems from the manager or some sort of internal beefs, again, regarding that sort of Jadon Sancho decision to drop him and then send him back to Dortmund. I'm unsure, but for me, the talent is undeniable, but it's just whether he wants to sort of progress under Ten Hag, because I've no doubt that he wants to still be a successful Manchester United player. It's just that I'm not too sure for now, on the evidence I'm seeing this season. Something's changed from last year, because last year wasn't a great Manchester United team. We don't win that Carabao Cup. We don't finish top 4 without Marcus Rashford. So we need him in some sense.
Yeah.
But it's like, what do you want to do with that money that you could possibly get?
Well, that's what some people have said. They've claimed, could this be the Coutinho sale for Liverpool? You remember when they sold Coutinho for whatever it was, 145 million?
And they got Salah in off the back of that.
Yeah, and they brought in, I mean, to be fair, I think they might have exaggerated just how many signings they made off it, because it was like they were buying players for the next 5 years going, well, actually, it's just the Coutinho money. But there's a question or a case to be made that if you got big money in for him, then maybe it'd be worth it because you could invest it. The issue I've always had with the idea of selling Marcus Rashford, I'll be honest with you, I understand all the arguments about sometimes he can be a bit frustrating and he's very erratic and all the rest of it. But I think overall his record is good for Manchester United. He scores in big games. He's pretty, he scored a lot of goals and got a lot of assists as well. And I know he has been a little bit patchy, for being brutally honest, but I still think he's a good player. My main worry, if you sell him, is I don't know if we replace him. Because I look at that right-hand side and I see we've spent 75 million or 73 million on Jadon Sancho, 73 million or whatever it is, or 80 million on Anthony. 25 or 20 million on Facundo Palestra? I know he's only a kid. But we've spent about 200 million on the right-hand side. And we still need more. We still need to probably buy another one. And I just worry that we lose Marcus Rashford or we sell Marcus Rashford, and do we replace him with someone else who gets you Anthony-like numbers? I'm not just digging out Anthony, or is another problem like.
Well, Rashford's giving Anthony numbers this season.
At the moment, but that's not his usual. I mean, he's had one bad season and this season where he's had a lot of good seasons, or 3 seasons where he scored 20+ goals and got over 30 goal involvements, 40 goal involvements last season. That's another concern for me. Is we could be in a scenario where, last season, for example, you look at the drop off between Marcus and the next goal scorer.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and it's like I just don't have too much faith in the club. I know we've got new part owners, whatever, to adequately replace him. That's my concern. Is that we're going to go out and go, okay, we sell Marcus for 100 million or 80 million, say, to PSG. Let's be realistic. We sell him for 80 million, right? Sound, and we bring in, I don't even know. We've been let's say we went and got another winger who comes in and he costs 60 million, but then he doesn't get you. He gets his sort of Anthony numbers of 3 or 4 goals, and it's like, was that a good move? Have we progressed? Have we used that money wisely? That's another big concern that I've got. AB says, whether he's good enough is a moot point, but there's something clearly missing. Looks like he'd rather be anywhere on a football pitch. Too much too young in a rank bad culture. Carly says 18 million for Ahmed and 9 million for Palestra. I think those are things with add-ons. Push comes to shove. If it was up to you, you're Dave Brailsford or Jim Ratcliffe or even Eric Ten Hag, whoever it may be, it's your decision. You're sat there and the club say to you, right, what are we doing, Gaffer? Do you sell Marcus or do you keep him?
And you're not giving me any replacement. What are you giving me a figure of how much money Manchester United
All
are getting
right.
for this?
Okay, let's say there's 75 million quid on the table.
No, I wouldn't say 75 million.
All right, there's 85.
Right, if it's around 90 mil for Marcus Rashford.
Okay. PSG come in. They've always liked him.
Yeah.
And they go, look, we'll give you 90 million quid for Marcus.
I don't know. I don't want to see Marcus Rashford in another shirt, but I think sometimes is that we've got to look towards the future, and I don't know. It's rolling the dice, isn't it? And I'm trying to be optimistic about this new board. And yes, we've spent really badly on that right hand side and made investments that we shouldn't have done and paid over the odds. Kind of thing now that might be a bit more prudent with the money.
Yeah.
90 mil. Yeah, fuck it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that football? Is that off the field stuff, or is it just mainly the football?
I just think I just think that there's been a few times now where Marcus Rashford hasn't been happy at Manchester United, and it's not just under Erik ten Hag or this time. And I'm sure that he'd like to be a success there, but I just think that maybe it's time for him to sort of do better for him on a foreign field. I think so. I think Manchester United have sold way better football players than Marcus Rashford. You know, we've got rid of Fred. Still going. Still here.
Listen, I hear you. I do. I do worry. I think it's quite populist at the minute to say, I know you're not trying to be populist, but I think if you say, get rid of Marcus, most people seem to be like, yeah, okay, you know what I mean.
It's not an easy decision, is it, to say
I'm still of the opinion that Marcus can do a job for Manchester United and he's worth sticking with. I am. I'm wavering a little bit.
Yeah.
He's disappointing me a little bit, but I still think you should keep Marcus Rashford. I really do.
Okay, so let's say my hunch that there is some sort of internal beef between Erik ten Hag and Marcus Rashford going on, right?
Yeah.
And that, like the Jadon Sancho situation, can't be fixed. There's no olive branch that can be made between Wythenshawe and wherever he's from in Holland. Comes the end of the season, and you had to choose between keeping Marcus Rashford or Erik ten Hag, which one would you do?
If it was based purely on, I've got to decide because of those factors of them two not being able to work together.
That's not too. That could happen, you know.
Yeah, it could happen. But let's say we finish 10th.
Yeah.
Then the manager's gone anyway, and it's not going to be that.
Based on what you've seen now, who's got the more credit in the bank, Erik ten Hag and what you've seen him as a manager, or what you've seen of Marcus Rashford at his peak?
It's not even
who's better for Manchester United?
I think if it comes down to a choice, between a player and a manager, as a club, you should always back the manager. And I love Marcus Rashford; he's probably my favourite player. But I think if it becomes like, well, it's either this player or the manager, far too often in the past it feels like we've gone with a player, and I don't think we've benefited.
You
from
got
that.
examples of that when you mean like we've gone with
the
player? Pogba and stuff like that over
a little
Jose?
bit, yeah. Pogba sort of fell out with Jose, and I think the club might have looked at it. I mean, to be fair, it wasn't just Paul Pogba. I think there was a lot of players that.
But Jose was vocal about Rashford as well, though.
Yeah,
he said there's still problematic players at Old Trafford. Him being one of them.
It was player power, wasn't it, that sort of led the way.
Yeah.
And there was an element of for me, the Jose was a weird one because yes, there's player power, but there's also an element of Jose sabotaging the team himself.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I agree.
100%
believe he deliberately set out to change the team to lose matches because he was that angry at the way he was being treated and the fact he hadn't been back properly. I think with Ole, there was certain players who, I don't know if they down tools or spat a dummy out, but they weren't performing at levels they should have done.
Yeah.
And that's why, ultimately ended up costing his job. I feel now, if it came to a choice, going back to your original question, between Marcus and the manager, I think you'd have to back the manager, and it pains me to say that because I still, despite everything that's gone on, and it's, he's not exactly flavour of the month, I still do like Marcus Rashford. I do, and I want to see him stay at United. I want to see him succeed at Manchester United. But if you're giving me a choice between a manager and a player, and this is nothing personal against Marcus Rashford, it had always been a manager. I think that's how a club should be run, and I think we haven't been run like that. My issue is, I understand where you're coming from. There does feel to be a slight element of Erik ten Hag is a dead man walking because the fact we're sat in 7th or whatever in the Premier League, because the chances are we won't win the FA Cup because there's better teams in it than us. And, we've had such a shambolic showing in the Champions League that Ineos, and also Ineos coming in, they might look at it and go, look, he's not our guy. He'll do to the end of the season and then we'll bring in whoever. I mean, it's been linked with Graham Potter, which I think is a step backwards. But whoever. So maybe Marcus is looking at that and going,
yeah.
But he shouldn't be thinking like that.
No, he shouldn't be thinking like that. But I think maybe Marcus Rashford, like many of the fans as well, have written off this season. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. That could be the case. Look at it this way, and just purely from a humanistic level, and look at playing for Manchester United as a job. If you knew you were probably going to work on the Sunday, or it was like a shit shift, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm going out on the piss. You do it, wouldn't you? Know, like,
you know
like
the answer to that full well.
Yeah, you know. Yeah,
the trouble was we were working in a call centre.
Yeah,
we weren't playing for one of the greatest clubs in the world.
Yeah.
But yeah,
there was no one asking for our resignation, was there? On Monday morning,
our boss didn't have to give a press conference. But what I mean is, when it was an internal matter.
If you know you can get away with so much shit, all right, he's gonna face getting fined. But ultimately, if he feels like the boss is walking on thin ice, to say the least. Like, what difference does it make? We're not going to win anything this summer, this year.
But if you're a new manager, okay, let me ask you this. If you're a new manager and you're coming in, yeah, Eric Ten Hag's gone, and you sit there and you look at your squad and you look at who you've got, and you look at Marcus's... If Marcus carries on this season not performing and the manager goes, do you look at Marcus as one of the players you'd want if you're the new manager?
Well, if you're the new manager coming in, the first thing you do, you have a conversation with Marcus Rashford and say, right, you explain to me how you bagged so many goals one season and then what happened the next. And I'm pretty sure that Marcus will defend himself to the hilt. He's got a great PR agency behind him.
But if you're, yeah, okay. That's
do you know what I mean?
But
and then we'll say, right, well, I didn't play well because Ten Hag was asking me to do X, Y, and Z. Do you know what I mean? There will be ways around it. If you're a new manager coming in, you've got a fresh Marcus Rashford. In the same way that it could be the case, I think it would be the case with Jadon Sancho as well.
Clean slate.
I genuinely think that both of them will bet Manchester United next season, and Ten Hag will play a new manager. I want to ask you a question though. Obviously, we're running a little bit out of time. The whole thing around Jurgen Klopp leaving in the summer. Xavi is leaving Barcelona. Right? Okay. There's going to be a bit of a managerial merry-go-round. Yeah. Do you think the Klopp situation affects Ineos's thinking if there are any sort of conversations about new managers at Old Trafford? Do you know what I mean? So because if Liverpool are going to need someone in that seat,
right.
Do you know what I mean? There's going to be a little bit.
I thought for 1 minute you were going to say Jurgen Klopp coming to Old Trafford. I mean, it'd be funny.
I was going to say stranger things have happened, but I can't think of anything that strange.
Yeah, that would be biblical if Jurgen Klopp came to
walking down the canal, right?
What you mean? They're looking at it going, look, managers are going to be in short supply, top managers, because
Liverpool are going to
Liverpool looking for someone, and Barcelona are looking for someone. So do we need to act sooner rather than later?
Yeah, of course. The same way you go to the transfer season, everyone goes for the same player. Like managers are a premium, man. We're here every week trying to say, well, who replaces him? Do you know what I mean? So upstairs, you thinking, what did we do here?
I feel with Ineos, they've probably already got a shortlist in mind. Yeah. And I don't know if that shortlist would be exactly the same as Barcelona's shortlist and Liverpool's shortlist. I feel like with Liverpool at the minute, I just feel it's tailor-made for Xabi Alonso. I really do.
See, that's an easy job to go into there at Liverpool.
I think the fact that he's an ex-Liverpool player, the fact that he's the flavour of the month because of what he's doing at Leverkusen, the fact that he didn't 100% dismiss it, he just sort of gave the beige answer, well, I'm happy here, I'm focusing on a job here. And I feel like as well, when you're a German club, you have maybe 1 or 2 seasons if you win the league or you chance for the title before you get your team picked apart. Even Klopp, he won back-to-back titles, and then that Dortmund got picked apart. And Bayern Munich are the big ones for that. They'll go, what's this? We've just lost the league to Leverkusen. Who's their best player? Right, we'll have him. Yeah. And they invariably get him as well. So Xabi Alonso might look at the end of the season and go, look, I've got Leverkusen at Bundesliga, for example. Am I going to retain it? Am I going to win the Champions League? Especially
can I go any further?
If my team starts getting picked apart as well, maybe he does. Maybe he says no. I'm going to go for it. Or maybe he goes no. I can go out here on a high and go into what for him might be one of his dream jobs. Going back to a club where he played and played very well. For me, he's the best midfielder I've ever seen at Anfield. And he goes in there and he succeeds a manager who. It's a weird one with Klopp because I feel like you succeed in a manager who's been very successful, or successful to a certain degree, but isn't irreplaceable. This isn't someone coming in and taking over from Fergie.
No.
You're coming in and taking over from a manager who could end up leaving after 9 years with 1 title. So obviously he's done big things there and great things, but it's not like, oh, he's just an impossible actor.
No. Liverpool in some ways are as erratic as Marcus Rashford, really. If you look at their up and down a lot of the time, isn't it? And then the thing with Klopp, and I've got a lot of sympathy with him as well. You know, like he's been at Liverpool for 9 years, and I just don't think that. You know, he's whinged a lot of times about like not being able to spend any money. So I'm hoping that he goes to a club now where they do allow him to spend a fortune on a defender and a striker and a goalkeeper. Because just, you know, spending, what was it, 80 mil on Alisson. It's just like, how do you work with such scraps?
You know what I mean?
I've had to buy 4 trophies in 9 years.
I've had to go and buy a defender from Southampton for 75 million quid, and you want me to win trophies? Are you crazy? Honestly. There's loads of people in the comments in the chat. Also, we've got a poll going. This says a lot, this, doesn't it? Keep or sell Rashford. Keep 27%, sell 74%. It's just changed. 74% saying, I'll start again because it's changing as I say it. 73%.
Take a number.
73% are saying keep. Saying sell, and 27% are saying keep. So 2/3 or 3/4, it's saying get rid. Also, some of the chat, Miss Man United, I know her very well. It's my missus saying our 7 or 8-year-olds and 8-year-olds have better attitude towards their team than Marcus at the minute. No excuses. Donatello Does Machine says, I'm a huge Marcus fan, but after last season's success, the right thing to do was sell him in the summer so the team could progress. Honestly, I do love him. Laughing emoji. Kim Chikraka says, what about Xavi? Would you have Xavi at United?
No, he's done now. What's he done? Well, I'd have him in midfield. I wouldn't have him in the bloody
he won a title, didn't he?
Did he?
Yeah, he won. He won the Liga, didn't he? With Barcelona, he has won a title there. But I think
that's like winning.
Am I getting that wrong?
I didn't think he won.
Yeah, he won the Liga 23.
That's like winning the Scottish League with Celtic, man. I'm not having that.
You're up against Atletico and Real Madrid and that. No, man, it's not a tapping, is it?
No.
I think the problem with Barcelona is they're an absolute horror show, aren't they?
Yeah.
All these levers they've pulled to release all these funds, they're still not anywhere near where they need to be.
Yeah.
And it just feels like, I don't know, it's a bit of a weird one. I don't think Xavi comes into United and turns things around, because we need someone who can come in and turn things around. I don't know if he's that guy, I'll be honest with you.
We'll leave today's show on Scotty survey. You got a quick answer, and everybody else who's watching. What's the better job here? If you're a manager on the continent and you're looking at Barcelona, Manchester United, and Liverpool to go to, which is the job that you go and you think I can walk in there and it's a little bit easier and I've got, it's ready-made job, I can be a success. Where would you go? Would you go?
Really good job. Really good question.
Would you go to Liverpool, Barca, or Manchester United if you had the choice?
I think the 2 biggest clubs there are Barca and United. Liverpool's a big club, I'll be honest about that. I don't think it's as big as United. I think the best squad is the Scousers. I think you're going in there with probably the most chance of success. They've got a really quite strong squad, even though Van Dijk and Salah are nearing the end of their career.
They'll be after the Saudi.
Yeah, I still think there's quite a decent squad there. But I just feel that maybe, I don't know. I'd probably say Liverpool's probably the easiest one in terms of the squad you've got. The setup there seems quite good.
Yeah.
The back Klopp, they seem to know what they're doing in terms of the structure and everything. United sound like we're getting our act together. I think Barcelona's a mess. But for me, I'd still think United.
Yeah?
Yeah, I do, because I just think the size of the club, the fact that there is this new structure coming in.
It's almost like a clean, new beginnings.
Yeah,
thing
and it's and also, you're going into Liverpool and let's say you won a title there, you succeed in you from where Klopp left off almost.
Yep.
You go to Barca, you have any success, even Xavi's won a title. You come in United and you win a title, you're the one that's turned it around. Like Sir Jim Ratcliffe's coming in to try and, so he says to try and turn it around. You'd be the manager that had turned Manchester United around. It wouldn't be anyone else. Wasn't Jose, wasn't Ole, wasn't Van Gaal or Tanag. It was you. You're the guy that turned Manchester United around. And I think that's a pretty big thing on your CV, isn't it?
That's true. That's a huge draw. Right, I've been Scotty. That's been Motty. Thank you, everybody that's watched and got in touch with the comments. Sorry we couldn't get through them all. Make sure you are subscribing and liking the video and sharing them with all your friends. And even people you don't like, because they might not like us either. Or maybe they will. I don't know where I was going with that.
I put a little link in there as well to our patrons. Extra content on there for you guys. If you can, subscribe to that. We appreciate your support. We'll see you on the next one.